Welcome to the Seahawkers podcast with your hosts, Adam Emmert.
I'd love to draft a tackle and not worry about where I'm going to move him to because he's going to succeed a freaking tackle.
And Brandan Schultz.
Is Steve Keim the Brian Williams of general managers? I say yes. And for that, do better.
Go Hawks!
On a quest to own the West, yippee-ki-yay, we make the ground shake. On game day, 12 man, yeah, he's feeling it is vital. The Seahawks.
Welcome to the Seahawkers podcast. I'm Brandan Schultz, member of the Military Seahawkers. Joining me, Montana Seahawker Adam Emmert.
Fortunately, Brandon, when I join you for the show, we don't have to do it under these circumstances very often.
Not very often, no.
A loss, and which is not as good as wins. So that's kind of a problem today, but we'll get into it. We'll dissect it. There's a lot to talk about, but again, I'm glad we don't have to do this very often with the team being, 4-2-1.
Well, and we're just one toe tap away from this being a very different show, Adam. I mean,
that's very true. Yeah, maybe 3 inches a little lower with that football, and you get 2 toe taps.
Right. Yeah. So we're going to talk about that, recapping the Saints game, the 25-20 loss to New Orleans on the road. Coming up, we have a matchup against the Buffalo Bills on Monday Night Football. We'll get to that. Mm-hmm. And Adam, Coach Carroll says we're going to be seeing some new things coming down the road here in the next couple weeks. And I think we should take some time to speculate on what that might be.
Fantastic, because you know what I don't believe anymore? Anything that Pete says, especially when it comes to injuries these days. I mean, first Michael Bennett's fine, now he's having surgery. Thomas Rawls was like, gonna come back any day. Haven't seen him for the entire freaking season. Every time I turn around, there's some new injury we didn't hear about or anything like that. So if Pete says there's something new coming down the pike, that freaking scares the catfish out of me because I don't know what to believe with him anymore.
Well, we will get into it, and yeah, we should probably talk a little bit of injuries too, because as you mentioned, Michael Bennett, he is going to have surgery, and there's some timelines to talk about with him as well as with Thomas Rawls and some of the other guys we got. So we will get into that, and of course, it is a loss, so why don't we start off the show with somebody taking the blame this week? And we have...
I like it.
We have an email from Dan in Juneau, Alaska. Dan says, wow, this might be my fault. So far this season, I've been able to sit down and watch the full Seahawks game twice. First the Rams game, and today the Saints. Since the Hawks lose whenever I watch, do I need to stick to the football broadcast for the rest of the season? And no, Dan, I would say no, it's not your fault. We talked about this last week when Tim had his issue. It's not Tim's fault either. Someone in New Orleans cast a voodoo spell on the refs and so they could only call procedural penalties on the Saints. And I think that's what happened.
Right. That's definitely it. Basically, what all Dan needs to do is climb to the top of a mountain and sacrifice one article of Seahawks gear and or trinkets. So just leave it on the top of the mountain.
Nice.
And yeah, and it'll be fine.
Any mountain. He doesn't have to go to the top of the tallest mountain in Alaska, because that could get...
Well, no, because McKinley's freaking tall, dude.
I don't think they call it McKinley there either. I think they changed the name of it altogether. I think it's Denali. It's always been Denali to Alaskans.
Fine then, whatever.
That mountain is named after some Ohio governor. That has nothing to do with Alaska.
Oh, well, how did that happen?
How does anything?
What does Denali have to do with Alaska, by the way?
That's the name of it.
No, I bet that's what I'm saying. Where does that work? Is that an Inuit word?
Probably.
It must be. Okay. Well, then that makes more sense. Fine. No, he doesn't have to climb Denali. But, being in Juneau, there's mountains around. Just pick one.
Okay. We got another comment here from Michael in San Diego. Says, after putting a lot of thought into it, I think I have figured out what the disturbance in the force is, which caused us to play poorly. There were a lot of other adjectives to choose, but I took the high road. Was it a botched snap preventing us from being able to attempt a long field goal? I'll correct you on that. That was a botched hold. We have to make sure we place the blame in the proper hands there. He says, maybe. Is it a totally ineffective running game due to not having our number one running back and an offensive line incapable of blocking or creating any running lanes? Maybe. Is it the dismal performance of the offensive line that allows defenders into the backfield, requiring Wilson to get rid of the ball before all the receivers have finished their routes? Maybe. Is it too many penalties overall? Too many defensive penalties that extended drives, or too many offensive penalties that killed drives? Maybe. I'm not even going to get into blaming refs, because there were still plenty of other ways to execute that we were unable to take advantage of. No, I think the reason that we have lost is because for the 2 games following the Rams lost, my girlfriend and I had a certain game day routine that we followed for the San Francisco and New York games. We'll just say this routine was enjoying breakfast together.
Right. Okay.
Unfortunately, her profession requires her to work some weekends, and she has worked the past 2 Sundays. Since she has to get up early on those days, and she has worked the past 2 Sundays, we have been unable to have breakfast together. Since I really like having breakfast, I will step up for the good of the team and get up extra early next Sunday to assure there is ample time for breakfast before she goes to work. At least Arizona got smacked around, and the rest of the NFC West is on their bye week, so standings remain unchanged. Go Hawks, from Michael.
Michael, that's freaking hilarious. Look, here's the thing. Breakfast is the most important meal of the day, and I highly suggest that you try starting out the rest of the Sundays that way. Don't skip breakfast. It's bad. It's bad for your health. So I appreciate you guys making the effort to make that happen. So yeah, get on that, dude. Like literally.
Well, Adam, and like breakfast, it's not how you start, it's how you finish. And this team on Sunday did not finish.
No, they did not finish. Jumped out to a 14-3 lead, and I was feeling pretty good about life right about then. I don't know about you, Brandon, but no, they didn't finish. And what's odd is that the offense actually performed better as far as moving the ball in the second half, and yet somehow still couldn't finish. And I think that has a lot to do with the fact that the defense was on the field for so much time in the first half, coming off of that Arizona game, that they really did just wear out. Now, when it came down to defending that last square inch, man, they were money. They were money on the goal line. But the defense tired out in the second half a little bit. Saints were able to maintain drives, and as a result, the Hawks didn't have much success in the second half. I mean, they really just didn't have the ball a ton.
Well, let's take a look at the first half, because like you said, they went into halftime with the lead and on the road, and you were feeling pretty good at that point. But that time of possession in the first half, that was skewed significantly because of the fact that, well, one, our best offensive possession was from the defense, and Earl Thomas picking up a 34-yard or picking up a fumble and taking it in for a touchdown for 34 yards.
Brees under center on 1st and 10, hands to Ingram. He goes left side, finds a little bit of a gap. Ball comes out, bounces into the hands of the Seahawks. It's Earl Thomas, far sidelines, 20, 15, 10, 5, touchdown, Seahawks! No flags. Mark Ingram stood up as he was trying to cross the line of scrimmage, fighting for extra yards. The Seahawks stripped the ball out, and it popped right into the hands of Earl Thomas, and he was gone like a shot.
What an amazing play. That was at that point, right? I just felt like, all right, the defense is done screwing around. They're just going to win these games single-handedly. They're going to take a page out of the Denver Broncos playbook at this point. Yeah, and you're right. It was a little disappointing to see the offense really not come through. Although they did punch in a touchdown, the offense did in the first half, and then give themselves an opportunity for 3 points at the end of the first half.
Right.
So I mean, the offense was doing some things, but
the big problem with and looking back again at time of possession, that interception that Russell Wilson threw. And what a great play by the Saints linebacker, right? To catch that ball. Holy smokes, that was a good play by him. But
yeah. But he covered it well. I mean, he played his assignment perfectly.
I just meant athletically to reach out and grab it like that. You don't see linebackers normally making catches like that.
It was thrown right at him.
He was totally laid out, though.
Yeah.
But that series, because with the offense just coming on the field and throwing the interception and then giving it right back to the Saints, to where, yeah, they may have been held up for 3 points on that, but or No, they end up getting 7 on that particular after the interception. So, yeah, the defense took a couple penalties on that drive to get them close to the goal line. So, that was the one series, though, where I didn't necessarily put it on the defense, because it's hard to put a scoring drive like that on the defense when you give them such a short field.
Oh, big time. That's why field position is such a big deal. No, the defense played fine, but here's the reason they were on the field so much in the first half. The Seahawks had 5 possessions in the first half. Here's how the first 2 ended up being blown up. First series, Fant gets a clipping penalty.
Right.
I don't even know if he knew that clipping was a rule, because he barely has ever played football. So he probably had no idea. I'll give him a pass. That kills the drive, right? Because that's a 15-yarder, I believe, or a 10-yarder. Yeah. Second drive, holding on George Fant, putting him in a 3rd and 16 situation. And we all know how great the Seahawks offense has performed in 3rd and forever. Now,
that was big too, because Graham, I think, ended up catching a pass and he was just about 3 or 4 yards short. So,
yep, that's how those are drive killers. So you have 5 first half possessions, and your first 2 are blowing up by penalty, like just because you have a guy out there who can't freaking play. And then your third possession is the possession they scored touchdown on, and the only reason they got anything out of that was a trick play. Your fourth possession starts out with a Glowinski hold, which puts him in 1st and 15. And then that's an obvious passing situation, and Russ throws a pick. And then your 5th possession, you don't come away with a field goal when you march down the field quickly with just a little bit of time in the second. Those are all quick drives short of, and even the touchdown drive's a quick drive because it's a big play from McAvoy to Procise on the throw. So basically, shoot yourself in the foot all first half as the Seahawks offense. You literally shooting yourself in the foot. This isn't the Saints defense being any good. They're 28th in the freaking league. You should be able to score 30 on these guys at will, like it's nothing. And yet, here we are. Can't get out of your own stinking way.
No, and that's the exact location that I point my finger to is negative plays in this game. The Seahawks had 9 drives total. 2 of those ended at the end of the first half with the botched field goal attempt, and at the end of the second half when they just missed getting the feet in bounds for Jermaine Kearse. So 2 of those 9 was because of end of the half. One of those was a TD. So of the 6 drives that are left, you ran down the list. One was a Fant clipping penalty. One was where Russell got sacked on 1st and 10. There was the interception that we mentioned and that came after a false start. Britt had a block in the back that brought back a big run by, I think it was it Procise that went to the outside that time?
I believe it was.
And then there was a false start on Michael that brought it back from 1st and goal to from the 10 instead of at the 5. And then they had one other drive where they got a field goal.
Yeah. And then that's it.
Right.
Look, and here's the thing. I'm glad you agree that it's the negative plays and the self-inflicted stuff, because, the narrative has been after this game, the officials, right? And the officials played a big, and we'll get to it. I mean, the officials did play a big role in this game. I just don't like to sit and whine about officiating but because the Seahawks had opportunities right and left to win this game. And, one easy thing to point at, just catch the ball, John Ryan.
Yeah.
Give House a chance. Yeah. I mean, that's absolutely unacceptable right there. And then right down at the end of the game, the play before Russell throws to Kearse. And again, here's another place where you have an opportunity to make plays to win the game. And what does Russell do on that play? He checks it down to Procise in the middle of the freaking field. No timeouts.
They were lucky, to get 2 seconds left on the clock. Had they not to line up and spike the ball. The one thing that, and I don't know if you're going to get to this, but the thing that bothers me going back and looking at that play, Adam, Jimmy Graham wide open on the right side of the sideline. And I don't know if it's because the corner came off when he saw Russell look away from Graham. But when he threw the ball, Jimmy Graham was standing by himself right on the sideline when he checked it down to Procise.
I missed that, much like Russell. So good catch by you. Yeah, I mean, that's just another thing right there. The plays were there, The plays were there to be made. And the other thing,
even
I think
if you don't throw it to Graham, throw it out of bounds, because then at least you still have 3 shots at the end zone instead of 1.
That's just it. I mean, and then that way, yeah, if Kearse doesn't get the toe tap down, then maybe you have 2 chances to throw it to Jimmy in the end zone, you know? And those are the things that are so frustrating. The other thing that's super frustrating to me about this game offensively, and, you know, most people have come out, and again, it's the fire Bevel train, and I'm sure we've got tens of those emails. I'm sure we did. But here's the thing, and I'm not one that likes to go around and place blame on things. I mean, you might be shocked by that because it's seemingly all I do. But the point is I like to look at it. It's not so much as like I'm blaming this person. It's more like, let's identify the problem so we can find a solution, right? And I think the biggest criticism I can levy against Darrell Bevell after this game is to come out beginning of the second half, about 7 straight runs with C-Mike to the left side or straight up the middle, right behind Britt. And we were gashing him, absolutely gashing him, just running it at will. And then the following 2 drives, we hardly run at all. I mean, C-Mike ended up with 10 total carries in the game. 10. That is not balanced complementary football when you have a quarterback who's hobbled like Russell Wilson is. And let us not forget the pectoral injury, too, and that he played through in this game as well. He was able to run around and do some stuff, sure, to a degree. I mean, picked up a first down on a 3rd and short and that sort of thing. But look, let's take the pressure off Russell and a hobbled Russell Wilson behind an offensive line that is an absolute dumpster fire in pass protection. Look, I hope George Fant is a wonderful person. I'm sure he's a really nice guy. And I really hope he gets it together. I do. I'm rooting for him. But he sucks right now. He's lost in pass protection. And so let's take that pressure off of Russell Wilson by running the football. And Fant did fine running the run blocking in the game.
Well, the entire second half, Fant did fine. The first half, he had issues, but
he had a lot of issues in pass protection in the second half.
I watched him that entire fourth quarter. And there were no issues where Russell maybe had to give it up a little bit early. But how's that any different from any of the other 5 guys that they have on the line?
No. This is how they protected George Fant on a number of the passing plays in the second half. They would go play action to the right side, and the entire line would crash to the right side as if it's a run play. So they would faux run block, basically, and try to get the defense chasing. Russell will come out on bootlegs and things of that nature. They totally hid George Fant for about the last 2 possessions of the game. And then when they did throw him one-on-one to a guy, the guy may not have gotten there, but it's only because Russ got it out in a heartbeat, man. He would barely even touch the guy. He was a dumpster fire in pass protection the entire game. I watched that intense.
So same as Sal, essentially.
No, Sal sadly is an upgrade.
I don't know. We'll see.
We'll talk more about left tackle issues later in the show because I've got a bone to pick with John Schneider.
with the trade deadline and all, but
oh my God.
Well, on the plus side, I think it's time for some positivity, Adam, because on the plus side, CJ Prosise, he jumped off the screen, not only when he got the ball, he had over 100 all-purpose yards, and a big portion of that came on a throw from Tanner McAvoy.
Russell under center. Quick throw to McAvoy. Who's going to throw? The former quarterback. He's going to throw backside. He's got a man. It's Prosise near side. Down to the 10. Down to the 5. The throwback to the rookie from a rookie gets the Seahawks in scoring range at the 2-yard line. Darrell Bevell, the offensive coordinator, is pulling everything out of his bag of tricks. A big 43-yard gain by the Seahawks all the way down to the Saints 2.
Prosise almost gets in. C-Mike able to punch it in from there.
So on the same hand where you killed Darrell Bevell for not running the ball, especially in the second half, give him credit on that play where he's conjuring up something just to try to get the offense going when the pass rush was getting to Russell Wilson super quickly and the offensive linemen were committing silly fouls just trying to play competent football. And so what does he dial up? He dials up a bomb from the former quarterback, Tanner McAvoy. And I want to tell you something, Brandon. I'm not just in like with Tanner McAvoy. I'm in love with Tanner McAvoy. I love this kid, man. There is nothing he can't do. He's blocking kicks. He's, making big catches, and now he's throwing. throwing bombs. I love this guy, man. I love him. And in a pinch, he could fill in at safety.
Right.
I want a team of Tanner McAvoys. I do. These guys are awesome. He's awesome. I'm in love with Tanner McAvoy.
He's like one of those guys in college where they don't even put a position after his name. They just put athlete.
No, they just put awesome.
Well, and you're not the only one in love with Tanner McAvoy. A tweet from Pete Prisco says McAvoy is the best passer in Seattle.
This may be the only thing that the idea that we both like Tanner McAvoy might be the only thing we've ever agreed on.
He did follow that up, though, by saying that was a joke about McAvoy.
Thank God, because we damn near got the spaceship fired up to head to Prisco's
I know. We are due for another trip to Prisco's world, but just give it time. Yeah. Pete won't let us down.
No, he definitely won't. So let's get to the officiating. Let's talk about the officiating, because it is a storyline in this game. I have a beef with the officials. I have a beef with the refs in this game, Adam. And my problem is, if you're going to call all those penalties on the Seahawks throughout the game, how do you not call curse for a push-off on that final play? At the very least, you have to do it for good measure, just so you can get in one final word at the end of the game. And just for consistency, like if you're going to be consistently terrible, or if you're going to be terrible, be consistently terrible, right?
Close it out.
Close it out. Finish. You got to finish.
And we got an email here from Russ in Denver says, while the officiating in that game was total catfish, we still had a chance to win. The pick plays stand out for sure. The one on the touchdown I could live with, as that was borderline. I don't have an answer for the second one, as it's especially infuriating when you see that called in the Bronco game. The last play, though, I hated the decision and the lack of recognition before the snap. When the Saints DB backpedaled to the goal line, the whole right side flat was open, but instead they went to the back corner. Game over. As for the offense as a whole, if they can't run the ball on the regular basis, Russell Wilson is not going to make it to the end of the season. He looked healthier on Sunday than he has in a month, but he's a long ways off from being anywhere close to his healthy self. I saw enough from ProSice that makes me want to see him a little bit more, as he looked a little more dynamic than Michael has in a month. I guess we will see what happens at the deadline. Go Hawks. From Russ in Denver. There's a lot to talk about with this email, Adam.
There is. The first thing I'm going to say, that was not even close to borderline on the pick play on the touchdown.
It was opposite to me.
That is some of the most, yeah, exactly. That is one of the most blatant examples of offensive pass interference that there can possibly be. That was, you know what the infuriating part was watching the Sunday night game and watching them call pick plays. Yeah, I mean, I was like, oh, right. So they do call this. Like, I don't understand what the officials were looking at. I mean, those are some of the worst examples of offensive pass interference that you like when they show tape to the officials in the offseason to train them up on like what to look for.
Blandino puts together his little videos. It's that kind of play that he would put in that one at the goal line.
Oh my God. That was atrocious. And I mean, it's a lot easier to score when you cheat. I'll just put it that way.
And to me, that was the more infuriating one. To me, the second one, it looked like Jeremy Lane was kind of falling down a little bit as he was getting the interfered with, but
that's a pick play too.
It was. No, I agree. It just, to me, that was the less infuriating one of the two.
Yeah, I agree there. Yeah, if you had to choose,
Plus the other one led to a score, so. But so did that one. That one to Brandon Cook set up to the field goal. Yeah.
Right. Then made it so that you have to score a touchdown at the end of the game. Just like not having that field goal at the end of the first half made it so you're going for a touchdown instead of just kicking a field goal at the end of the game.
We're not going for a touchdown instead of kicking a field goal when you're on the 2-yard line or 3-yard line, right?
Yeah, that felt right in the moment, though.
Yeah, I wanted him to go for it because, I mentioned last week the first to 24 I thought would win, and a touchdown there would have put the Seahawks at 24 points. A touchdown and an extra point, because I guess we have to start qualifying ourselves that extra points. You do have to wait until they're kicked.
That's exactly right. Now, the other two penalties that I think people talk a lot about were the very unfortunate in timing defensive, can I put in air quotes, holding calls?
Mm-hmm. On every 3rd and 5.
That one on Shed, that's as bad as it gets. That's as bad as it gets.
That call on Shed was terrible.
It was awful. It was, but not only that, but it comes at such an opportune time. They get the Saints off the field. You get one more possession. The defense gets to rest. Those are killers. Those are absolute killers. And the one on Sherman later in the game, you can call.
Yeah.
I'm not quite as mad about that one, but more often than not, that's not getting called.
No, that's not getting called. And that's why I wasn't as mad about that one after seeing the one against Shed, because that one, there was nothing there to call. And at least with Sherman, you could go, oh, well, I could see what they maybe saw something there.
And the other thing is like, look, if you're going to call that on Sherman, then you need to call every one of those push-offs on Thomas.
Right.
Man, he was pushing off of Sherman all day long. I mean, it was pretty egregious. Nope, can't get a flag there. And here's the thing. So we just went over some 4 really bad calls. Not one that like Julio Jones got pass interference with, one call, right? We're talking about 4 pretty egregious calls right out of the gate. But that's not just it. It's the consistency in which they called everything that the Seahawks did as illegal and let the Saints get away with bloody murder. 11 penalties for 76 yards on the Seahawks. Some of them were deserved, no doubt. But when then you take and you look at the flip side and the Saints only end up with two freaking penalties for 10 yards, that is so unfair. It's unbelievable. It's unbelievable. I can't wait to never see Big Guns Hockey League ever again in my life.
Well, and like Coach Carroll said, it was the disparity, not just in the number of calls, but also the Saints and the Seahawks are right next to each other in terms of penalties per game.
Amount of penalties.
So it's not like the Saints have just been squeaky clean all season, and and this was just consistently how they perform. No, this was the first game where they got called for literally nothing except 2 procedural penalties.
Exactly. It was maddening. But again, that is not why the Seahawks lost this game.
No, but
they had their opportunities.
Definitely part of the frustrations. And while we're on penalties, Earl Thomas hugging a referee. Apparently the NFL's worried about hugging refs becoming a thing, because
how did I forget? When you get, it's so bad that when you hug the official, the flag comes out. What is this? Did he grow up in a family where it was no touch?
Right.
No touch, bad touch. Did his little space bubble get a little too violated? Oh no, Earl Thomas gave you a hug. 15 yards. What a catfish.
How is that unsportsmanlike even? That, to me, that seems overly sportsmanlike. That's extra sportsmanlike.
Right. God, when you're even getting called for hugs, illegal hugs, you know it's going to be a long day with the officials.
And the official was smiling when he threw the flag too. So
right. Unfreaking believable. If you're going to follow the letter of the law that closely, maybe call an illegal pick play.
Maybe. Yeah.
Maybe.
Where there's actual illegal contact happening.
The hilarious thing, Earl didn't even know he got flagged for that until after the game. No clue. Couldn't believe it.
Well, let's go back to a couple of the other things that Russ mentioned in his email, because he mentioned the last play and the lack of recognition before the snap. And Hugh Millen on KJR talked about this as well. He said, when you notice how the Saints lined up in that particular play, for the Seahawks not to have an option to where instead of going to the back corner of the end zone for Curse to actually slant inside, he said had Curse slanted to the left inside instead of going to the back corner, it would have been an easy touchdown and they would have won. And he was particularly surprised that they didn't have that option on that particular play.
Well, maybe they did, and Curse just misread it.
Could be.
I mean, that's just it. They're option routes, you know? And a lot of those, when you get to the top of the route, and then you have to make your decision of which way you're going on the route tree. I mean, sure, that could have been in there. The idea you could have dumped it into the flat too, possibly. But again, you're in truncated space. Even your deepest defender's no further than 10, 15 yards back. So they can close down on that pretty quickly. I mean, the play call to Curse in the back corner, I'm not overly mad about that. I don't know that was the worst option.
And like you said, it was just a little too high. And Russell was a little too high on quite a few throws in this game. So,
and let me ask you something, Brandon. Out of all the players in Seahawks history, who do you want trying to make a crucial game-winning clutch game?
Yeah, Jermaine Curse.
It's Jermaine Curse.
He's come up with so many.
Yeah,
and he nearly
damn near
came up with that one.
Yeah, I had to think for about half a second whether or not the pylon was legal or not legal. Like if that was going to get counted, I was like, no.
No, it doesn't.
No.
If the pylon is out of bounds and your foot is on it, then it doesn't count. Yeah. But it was so close, wasn't it?
It was so close. And that's just it. I mean, it's tough to be mad about that. I'm more angry about the check down to pro sites, the play before.
Yeah.
Like to me, that's the unacceptable
part. No, I was too. And especially when I went back and looked at it, like I said. So
yeah,
and like Russ said, this team does have to run the ball. But the good thing is Russell did look healthier. And with the ankle braces off, you saw him scramble for a first down in one case. You saw him scramble out to the left and actually, still have some separation between him and the defender, which we haven't seen in past games. So, yes, he now has that issue with the pectoral injury, but at least his wheels are starting to get a little better.
Yeah, and the idea, too, that it came out that doctors told him he should sit down for 4 weeks and yet still managed to play through this.
Right.
And to get to this point, it's nice to see it on the upswing. I guess my initial thought was the doctors had cleared him, of course, and I'm sure they did in the end. But, I mean, he just flat wasn't going to listen to that. I mean, if he felt like he could play, he's going to play. So to know that it would have been about 4 weeks before, most doctors say you should even be out there, the idea that it's taken 3-4 weeks to get to this point, and still play is pretty amazing.
And one last thing on the running game, we got Tim Moon on Facebook sent in a comment, says the Seahawks don't have a problem with their running game. If I hear that one more time, I'm going to throw up. Michael and ProSize did just fine today when they had an opportunity.
Yep.
And Michael did just fine last week when he had a chance. The problem is with the running game is with the handoff game. It seems they have eluded the Seahawks that you can't have a running game without first having a handoff game. The running backs can just run for an unlimited amount of yardage, but unless they have the ball, it does not count. I know the injuries are complicating everything, but Michael is not injured. Why can't we let him do something for the whole game? By the way, Rawls will not be any better if he never gets the ball. And like we mentioned, Rawls, it doesn't sound like he's going to be back for the Buffalo game, but he is on track. He's running at full speed and looks like he will be back in time for the Patriots game.
Oh, really? That's good news because, man, when I saw that the report came out so quickly that he was going to be out for the Bills game, I was like, Jesus, how long is he going to be gone?
Yeah.
I mean, we keep hearing like any day, right? And then nothing, but holy smokes, if he could be back for the Patriots game at the very least. What is that? Is that 2 weeks from now or 3 weeks from now?
That's 2 weeks from now. It's the Sunday night game after this Monday night game.
Holy smokes, we got Patriots in 2 weeks?
Yeah, on a shortish week.
Oh, man. Okay, well, hopefully we do have Thomas Rawls back for that game. That'd be great because one thing, we talk about the blame a little bit and to kind of pass it around. I mean, the running game hasn't been quite as good as I know Tim's like, it's been fine. Don't tell me it's not good. But, it hasn't been great in some aspects because C-Mike doesn't break tackles. He's at one of the bottom in the league at breaking tackles. He's explosive, but he's nothing like Thomas Rawls or Beast Mode.
Yeah, the spin move doesn't help if you spin into more tacklers.
Right. And his spin move is sick. Don't get me wrong. Yeah. But, it's tough when you're just spinning into other tacklers. But, I tend to agree with Tim. I mean, we were hitting on it earlier in the pod, the idea that, look, the opportunities are there. We just need to actually, take them.
Yeah, and I wonder if that's what Coach Carroll is talking about, because I heard him on a couple different occasions this past week. Essentially, the Seahawks know the formula. And when I think of the Seahawks formula, I think of running the ball.
We're not stopping with anything that we believe in because we know the formula we want to play with. We just haven't really settled into it yet, and so it's coming. And the halfway point is important to us. Taking this turn, we're kind of a game earlier than the halfway point, and we're going to take I think a really good step forward here in the next couple of weeks.
So a step forward in the next couple of weeks, but still 7 weeks to get into the. I don't understand this fascination with the second half of the season when there's still a first half of the season that you can do things in.
So wait, you're trying to tell me that the first half of the season those games count too?
I mean,
they're equally as much as the second half because according to this team, those are just warm ups. The first 7-8 weeks just warm ups. I guess that's one reason why I don't know how we sound to people when they listen to this, but we don't sound crazy alarmed about this team because, I mean, this is their MO. Like, we've seen them flip the switch, 5 years in a row, basically.
Exactly. But we heard him say, in the next couple weeks, things are going to change. And in this next clip, he's saying something similar.
We need to get out of what we've been in here the last 2 weeks. This is not the way we're going to play football. We'll fix this. And it just happened back to back to us in very similar fashion. And I can't wait to get back on the practice field. I mean, we all feel the same. There will be some things that will look different.
There will be some things that look different.
Is that Darrell Bevell may start thinking about his job security?
Well, after Norv Turner leaves the Vikings just mysteriously.
Yeah. Was that surprising or what?
Yeah.
I mean, I understand that the Vikings offense has struggled, but I mean, I also understand that they've lost pretty much their entire offense this year. I mean, AP, Teddy Bridgewater, both are tackles. I mean, maybe God was like, maybe this is what happened. Maybe the next thing that God took away from their offense was Norv Turner. He's like, because he's so mad at the Vikings.
Well, yeah. Is he, because he didn't get fired, apparently. He just resigned. So is he just like, this is getting too hard? I'm done.
Well, either that, maybe like somebody in his family has health problems or something.
Oh, yeah,
I mean, who knows? Or maybe he was like, dude, resign or you're fired. I mean, there could be that too.
Oh yeah, it could be a number of things. But to me, it just seems like, yeah, like when the going gets tough, quit.
Well, here's the one thing. I mean, Pete says there's going to be some things that look different, right? I know one thing that's not going to look different, and it's this offensive line, Brandon, because the trade deadline showed up yesterday. It has come. It has passed. And let me celebrate our new... we didn't pick up an offensive lineman. We signed a freaking defensive lineman.
Got a defense.
I don't know if Schneider's been watching the games, but here's the thing. Like, the defense is good. The offense is catfish. Pull it together. Like, it's time to invest.
You're just mad because it's a former defensive end from the Dolphins.
No, it's his position group as a whole. And if they tell me after signing this dude, they're switching him to left tackle to be our starting left tackle, I am going to personally hunt somebody down.
Well, that's not happening. They're happy as punch with George Fant, Adam. So,
well, here's the thing. Here's the other frustrating thing about this game. Is watching Jari Evans trot out there and be the starting right guard for the New Orleans Saints and look good.
Yeah.
That is so frustrating. I was told he couldn't play.
Right.
And it looked like he couldn't really play in the freaking preseason. Yet somehow he trots out there and is a competent, middle-of-the-road starting right guard. Yep. You know what? If we had him and he was doing that, that means that maybe Ifedi's playing right tackle. That means that Gilliam's maybe playing left tackle. That means that maybe we have a competent freaking offensive line. But no, John Schneider lets all these freaking aging veterans come in, try out, and be like, you might actually be competent. Can't have that. See you later. Let me bring in some dude that's never played because he's athletic. Sick of this crap, man.
So is it John Schneider for the personnel he brings in, or is it your offensive line coach and assistant head coach, Tom Cable, who sees these guys who have performed just fine everywhere else, like Jari Evans, like Eric Winston? These veterans come in and Cable says, no, you're not what I'm looking for.
It could be a little of that because they don't look great at Seahawks, right? I mean, we saw Jari Evans have the struggles in a couple games. I mean, in the preseason. So maybe it's the system to a degree, and it's Tom Cable's way of playing offensive line. You know what? And what makes me wonder is if these competent dudes can't pick it up, like maybe all these other offensive linemen we have are actually competent. It's the system that doesn't frickin' work.
Well, you saw James Carpenter not perform very well in the Seahawks system. Go to the Jets. He's been just fine. Mm-hmm. We haven't seen Sweezy because he's been injured, so you can't say that. But he was a defensive line convert too. So
Russell Okun has looked pretty good in Denver.
Yeah.
Giacomini looks pretty damn good with the Jets.
Yeah. He was good here with the Seahawks, though. He was good.
He got good when he stopped making dumb penalties.
Well, yeah.
Yeah. But that's my point, man. Like, all these guys, when they leave here, all of a sudden can play, and yet with us can't play. I mean, once is a coincidence, twice is a trend, 3 times is a Tom Cable problem.
Right. Well, Tom Cable's solution might be in the building, Adam. Because I don't know if
Well, I hope to Christ he is, because he ain't coming in off the street.
Well, if you saw Greg Bell from Tacoma News Tribune, his article, Marshawn Lynch in the locker room in his full Seahawks getup, Adam. Marshawn Lynch is back in the building.
Full Seahawks getup means like a uniform. He was not in that. He was wearing a hoodie like me. I'm no more on the team than Marshawn Lynch is. And neither you as Seahawks fans are in the same amount of danger of seeing me start at running back as Marshawn Lynch start at running back.
One of the points he makes is when you see Marshawn, he's usually in his beast mode hat, his beast mode outfit. This is his clothing line, but yet he's walking around the Seahawks locker room in Seahawks clothing.
Right. And he didn't do that when he played, right?
No.
Oh, that means he's not playing. Because he's not doing the same stuff they do when he's played. Here's I find this stuff kind of funny, right, Brandon? I'll tell you how you know when a guy's thinking about coming out of retirement. You start hearing things like Marshawn Lynch working out with team trainers, Marshawn Lynch working out with former high school coach, Marshawn Lynch working out, somewhere or at UCLA. You know what I mean? Like you hear little rumors about dudes like Marshawn Lynch playing serious pickup football with, blah, 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 blah. You ain't hear any of that. You know what you hear about Marshawn Lynch doing? Opening beast mode stores, starring in commercials, lounging around the Seahawks when he comes to hang out at Ricardo Lockett's charity event or the launch of his charity. So, yeah, he ain't coming back.
Okay, well,
it ain't happening.
The reason why it made me curious, and I played these first two clips from Coach Carroll saying, we know the formula. There's going to be a couple different things in the next couple of weeks. Listen to how he sounds at the end of the clip with this interview on his. This was him on 710 for his coach's show that he does every Monday.
I think we're going to turn here in the next couple of weeks. You're going to see something really, really shift, and I'm really excited about it. I think we may have been fortunate to be as far along as we are right now, and with everybody coming back together, Russell really will be at his very best. I don't know that he's 100%, but he'll be at his very best. He looked good yesterday. He had a great naked that he ran to the left was the best he's looked on the run, throwing, and had a great shot there. I think there's that. You're going to see some things happen that are going to help us get a little bit better here.
You're going to see some things happen. They're going to help us get a little bit better.
Yeah. We're actually going to run the ball, and the idea that Russell can actually do some zone read stuff again.
We're going to run the ball because we're going to have Marshawn Lynch at him. Lock it up.
It's not happening, man. I don't want to get anybody's hopes up on that level at all. The beast is retired and well. That's what he is. He's riding camels and stuff, man.
I know. It's fun to think about, though. It's fun to think about. Just let me have my 2 minutes, Adam.
It's not fun to think about. It's a fantasy land, man. And like all that does is make you. It's like being with some new girl who's all right, like, and you're doing fine, but you still think about the last one that you really liked. You know what that does with your relationship with the new one? It poisons it, man. You can't be doing that. You can't be having fantasies about Marshawn Lynch. What you need right now is to focus on the girl you got, the girl you're dancing with, and that's C. Mike and Thomas Rawls, and they're good backs. So
is it okay to kind of look out of the corner of my eye after the Jets drop Troy Pope and go, yeah, maybe there's a shot?
Now, see, because that's a new possibility. That's now that how is Pope not on the roster?
Well, he just got dropped yesterday when the Jets picked up C.J. Spiller and they dropped Troy Pope.
Well, they screwed up. My hope's still in Pope. Bring the Pope back.
Yeah.
We need a Twitter hashtag campaign. Like Keith Ketover needs to get on that.
Somebody. I know there's some Troy Pope fans out there. White smoke.
Yes.
Needs to come back to the VMAC.
Exactly. We need that.
Even if he's just on the practice squad.
Yeah, I don't care. Yeah, I just want that talented guy on the Seahawks roster. That's what I want. And look, because if I don't get out an offensive lineman, maybe I can at least have another dynamic running back. Maybe.
Well, one final thing before we get on to the Bills preview, Adam. Let's talk a little defensive line because Michael Bennett out with injury. Defensive line only able to get 3 hits on Drew Brees. 2 of those were sacks. One from Frank Clark, one from Cliff Averill, building another house. I think Bobby Wagner was the third guy to actually, get his hands on Drew Brees. And so just those 3 guys, Michael Bennett not being in that game, you have to do better than that when you're facing Drew Brees to get in his face. And because his checkdowns were there all day for him.
Right. I mean, they were out there all day for him, but that's the thing, right? He's got Max Unger. He's got Jari Evans. He's got guys that know how to play offensive line. I mean, that's a pretty darn good pass protecting offensive line. And that's their system, and that's how they roll. So, I mean, the idea that I didn't find the pressure to be lacking for the most part. I mean, they didn't get there. I think the more frustrating part is they didn't get there with the blitzes nearly as often. The Saints did a really great job picking up blitzes.
Yeah.
But look, you lose a guy like Mike Bennett, there's an impact. There's no doubt about that. But the defense was still stout as all. It's just all heck, man. They were awesome.
Yeah, no, it's hard to complain. I mean, holding the Saints to 25 points and the field goals that they held them to when they were right on the goal line. Holy smokes. Yeah, that was an impressive,
that was super
impressive efforts there. You gotta score 30 points on a Saints defense.
That's it. And that's why we spent most of this episode talking about the offensive line and the offensive performance, because how do you not throw up 30 points against a state team? It's beyond me.
Well, let's look ahead to this Monday night football game against the Buffalo Bills, Adam. Buffalo Bills, they have not come into CenturyLink since 2004.
Wow, it's been that long.
So this will be
Holy
Tyrod
smokes.
Taylor's first appearance in Seattle with the noise under the lights. Monday night football. It's going to be fun. The last time we took on the Bills, 2012 was when we debuted the Wolf Gray uniforms and scored 50 points up in Toronto. It's fun to think about that history that we have with the Bills right now.
Mm-hmm. Well, look, I look at this game, Brandon. This is going to be a low scoring affair because the Bills, they're not the same team that gave up 50 points to the Seahawks that day.
No, and their defense significantly better.
Yes. And, and the Seahawks offense is significantly worse than they were that day. And that we're talking about Russell Wilson's rookie year on top of that. That's what's so crazy. But I look at this game as a low scoring affair, and it's going to be the team who runs the ball effectively who wins this game. See, the Bills' entire offense is predicated on the run. I mean, they are a running team through and through. And the good news is for you Seahawks fans is the Seahawks are 5th in the league against the run. And their lead runner, McCoy, he's not exactly a north and south guy. He's an east and west, sideline to sideline guy. I dare every team to run sideways on the Seahawks. Good freaking luck.
Hightower did it once. He got there once. He got to the outside and got around one time. Yeah. And that was because Earl Thomas just flew like a missile and totally whiffed. But
how dumb was the announcer that was like, oh, yeah, we never see Earl Thomas do that. I see Earl Thomas do that every other week.
Right.
He has one of those,
Right.
I mean, and like you take the good with the bad, right? He's awesome every otherwise, so I'm not going to complain too much.
Yeah, he can, we'll give him that one.
But yeah, this is a team that doesn't even average over 200 yards a game passing. They're not a juggernaut in as far as offensively. A very different team than we saw in the Saints. But on the flip side, their defense is really stout.
Yeah, the place where I would look especially, they have 2 edge rushers, Adam, that they have done really well so far this year. Jerry Hughes and Lorenzo Alexander, both those guys in the top 15 for edge rushers. And against our tackles, you kind of have to worry. That's a bad matchup. I don't know as much about Alexander, but I am familiar with Jerry Hughes, and that guy's a stud. Hughes can flat out play. He's one of those very under the radar guys, for sure. Yeah. Well, both those guys, and Hughes in particular, so far this year, he's actually graded out kind of poorly against the run. So there's at least that maybe you can run at Hughes and get some yardage there. They also, the thing about the Bills is, unlike the Saints and some other teams that we've seen have success against the Seahawks, they don't have the guys in the middle like a team like the Cardinals have with Calais Campbell, or like the Dolphins have with Ndamukong Suh. Nick Fairley, he didn't do a whole lot for the Saints in the game against the Seahawks, but they still have a guy in the middle where his name, and the Bills don't really have that.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, Williams is a fine player in the middle.
Yeah, he's fine, but not a stout guy that is going to that's kind of wrecking the league like some of those other teams.
Not your immovable object type of defensive tackle, right, is what you're saying. Okay. Well, Look, this is going to be a tight game. This is going to be a very tight game. And I think the one thing that carries the Seahawks over the top is the fact that it's prime time. And they just got embarrassed by losing to the stupid Saints. There's no way we should have lost that game. It's so stupid that we lost that game, especially starting 14-3. All right, I'm on to the Bills.
On to the Bills.
But look, I think that the idea that they get to play in prime time is huge for the Seahawks. They really do rise to the occasion every time they're under the big lights.
They do. But then again, I look at the Bills, and one area where I was really worried at, going back to the Saints game, one area where I was worried was the Saints and their red zone scoring percentage, where they actually score touchdowns inside the red zone. New Orleans, number 2 in the league. And I think going into the Seahawks game, I think they were number 1. So the Seahawks did bring them down inside the red zone. As
4
far
field goals.
Right,
yeah.
right. So they brought down their average. Buffalo, they're up there too. They're number 5 in the league overall. In their last 3 games, they're number 4 overall, getting into the red zone just around 75% of the time, or getting into the end zone when they're in the red zone about 75% of the time. And on the road, they're still top 10. So this is a team that is good at getting the ball once they're within range, good at getting the ball into the end zone instead of settling for field goals.
Yeah, that's an interesting stat. I think one thing that you see with the Bills is that they have had some success that way. But what I want to know is, which Buffalo Bills team is this?
Yeah.
I mean, it really does feel like 2 different teams. I mean, this is a team that looked terrible in their first couple games of the year. They ended up losing their first 2 games, and then they smash Arizona. Do you remember that game?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And end up beating New England without Tom Brady, and then beat the Rams, and then smash the Niners. And then they go on their next 2 games. And that's all after they fired offensive coordinator Greg Roman.
Yeah.
Then in their last 2 games, a loss to Miami, who's a middling team. And then they got smoked by the Patriots last week. I mean, because it turns out the Genghis is kind of a big difference when you play the Patriots.
Kind of. It makes a difference.
Yeah. Instead of scoring 0 points, the Patriots put up 41 on the road.
Right. Yeah. No, and everybody, I think, saw that coming.
So my question is, which Bills team is this?
You know,
I don't know if that little spark of firing your offensive coordinator has maybe worn off.
Well, that spark may be wearing off. They have a new spark at them because they signed Percy Harvin just in time to return to face the Seahawks
in Seattle.
Percy Harvin coming back to town.
I have a serious question, Brandan.
Okay.
Is it okay to cuss at Percy Harvin as he comes out the tunnel? Because I generally, we're going to be at this game.
Right.
We're going to this game. I want to be that guy. I want to yell profanities at Percy Harvin and tell him what a tool bag he is.
Part of me still has
so bad.
Part of me still has that soft spot for him though, because he did have that touchdown return in the Seahawks game in the Super Bowl.
That's
one little small soft spot that I have for Harvin. Just one.
I guess, man. I don't know. He's off my radar. No, see you later. He's a tool bag, man.
Yeah.
A colossal tool bag. Yeah, I want it. But I just was wondering, is it okay, like in that situation, or do we need to keep it classy? Like as fans, as a whole, I'm asking because I don't know. Because this is my gut and I'm struggling with this.
I feel like we keep it classy, as I don't want to ruin any kind of karma going into this game.
Okay. All right.
I feel like it's bad karma. Like you can.
So what do I say to Percy?
After the win, you get down to the Bills tunnel and then you curse at them coming off the field.
Oh, okay. All right. That's a deal I can make then.
Okay.
All right. So like when he comes onto the field, do I have to be like, "Hey, good to see you, Percy"? Like what? I mean, do I have to be friendly, or can I just boo? Like, can I do something?
I think he deserves a boo.
Okay. All right. Full on boo then.
Yeah.
So you hear it here, folks. Like, boo.
It's okay to boo Harvin.
Boo the hell out of Percy Harvin. Man, they're in desperate straits if they're bringing Percy Harvin back off of exile.
Well, Sammy Watkins out on injured reserve, right?
Yep.
That's their best receiver.
He's been out for a while now, though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Robert Woods, I think, was hurt last week.
Yeah. Another guy that we need to think about as Seahawks fans going into this game is Charles Clay. I don't know if he'll play or not. I understand that he got hurt in the Patriots game, but That's a guy we haven't faced really one of the tight ends yet. One of the good ones. This is a really good tight end.
He is a really good tight end. So maybe the best one that we face this season, right?
I think so. So I think that's going to be a matchup that's very interesting. But the idea that Cam Chancellor could be back for this game, that makes me feel a lot better about that.
Yeah, there's that. And also, we don't know if LaShawn McCoy's going to play because he sat out against the Patriots. And they were still able to put up over 20 points on the Patriots. So
that Patriots defense isn't great.
No, and they just traded away one of their best players.
Mind-blowing. Yeah.
I'm sure we'll talk about that more next week, too.
Yeah, we'll talk about that more on the Picks and IPA show.
For sure. But this, looking at this team, too, the Bills, you mentioned how Shady McCoy can be an east and west runner. This is definitely a team that likes to pound the A-gap up the middle, too, and that's where they have their highest average. Their second highest average is running to the left side, but up the middle, on first down, before this game against the Patriots, they're averaging 8 yards per carry up the middle.
That's about to come down a lot.
I would hope so. But still,
Look,
more than
man, how many times did you see Seahawks defenders meeting Ingram like 4 yards back in the backfield? I mean, that one play, Averill literally took his offensive lineman and shoved him into his lap. Like, nobody's getting a big gash. And you're going to struggle to run the football.
I don't think we saw any of Ingram after the first quarter. After the fumble, did we see him at all? I think they ran Hightower because Hightower had over 100 yards.
Yeah, they had another dude they brought in too, but it didn't matter because the Seahawks are amazing against the run.
I'll tell you who exactly they brought in. It was Daniel Lasco because he was a Cal Bear.
Lasco. Oh, I gotcha. Okay.
Cal running back.
Well, look, I think one of the guys that you can give a lot of credit to as far as this run defense is Bobby Wagner, man. He continues to put together the best season of his career, and I don't see that stopping against this Buffalo Bills team. That's for sure.
No, Bobby Wagner's going to need to have a big game because, like I said, man, from what I see from the Bills, it looks like they're averaging about 6.5 yards per carry going out to the left side, and when they go to the left side on first down, it's even higher, 7.5 yards. So this team, and I just have to think that when they've been winning is when they've had that success going up the middle, going over to the left side, but the Seahawks tend to be a pretty good defense against the run. So this could be a fun matchup to watch.
It is. And I feel like this is the best. It may not be statistically, but this is the best I've seen the Seahawks defense look against the run in this iteration of the team, under this kind of Pete Carroll era. I mean, they really are just, there's just nothing there. You may break one, but heck, that happens to pretty much every team. It can't be like Jared always tells me, I get mad. He's like, not every possession can be a 3-and-out, dude. I'm like, yes, they can. They should be. Yeah, but, you're going to pop one here or there. But otherwise, man, it's just stuffed. There's nothing doing. And as far as the rest of the weapons, quote unquote, for the Bills, other than Charles Clay, they really don't have any really game breakers on the outside that, Shed and Sherman have to deal with at all. And look, Shed's covered up some good players over the course of the season so far, and he's more than held his own. He is playing great.
Well, maybe the answer is if they're going to bring in Harvin, maybe you have a guy like Jeremy Lane play the outside in this game and match up against Harvin, and you put Shed on the inside against a guy like Charles Clay.
I promise you, if Cam Chancellor gets to play in this game, he tries to kill Percy Harvin. Somebody on that defense is going to try to literally decapitate Percy Harvin in this game.
Yeah. Well, Brian Baldinger just got suspended from NFL Network for talking about bounties on Ezekiel Elliott. So, maybe we keep...
As in suggesting
one,
or what?
Did you hear about that? Brian Baldinger, suggested that the Eagles put out a bounty on Ezekiel Elliott. And that was his comments before the game, before the Eagles played the Cowboys.
Was he serious, or was he kind of like, oh, you should put a bounty on Ezekiel Elliott? That's the only way you're going to stop him.
I didn't hear his comments, but I read his comments, and he didn't sound like he was joking, and apparently NFL Network didn't think so either because they suspended him.
Oh, whatever. Jeez Louise. A guy that's not even involved gets suspended because he suggests they should put a bounty on him. You're suspended. How dare you? You have no authority or any type of ability to put a real bounty on Ezekiel Elliott. You're suspended.
Well, you better watch it. NFL will suspend you, Adam, for talking about Cam going after Harvin.
God, I'm so tired of this outrage culture, man.
No, it is.
Good Lord.
One other thing before we get going to the second half of the show, I I mentioned that Tyrod Taylor, it will be his first time in CenturyLink. I also like to look and see, like the Falcons, Matt Ryan and the Falcons, they had experience running no huddle. They run it well and when they came into CenturyLink, because I think that a team has to use that, be able to use that well to avoid the noise when calling plays. I looked at the Buffalo Bills. They've run 3 plays, no huddle this entire season. So really? Definitely not an experienced no huddle team. I like that part of the matchup when it comes to the Buffalo Bills.
Well, I mean, if they don't run any no huddle, then it's not going to be a problem. I mean, because that's the only time you're really trying to communicate. You can get in the huddle and you can communicate.
You can.
Everybody can hear you and all that. It's when you're at the line and you're trying to check out to different things and call audibles and call your line protections and things like that. That's when I
think Taylor's going to struggle with that.
Maybe. I don't know. He's a pretty poised guy. He's been around a long time. He has been around. So I don't know. I mean, if you listen to, who was it? Was it the Jets that said that basically Tyrod Taylor was the same as Russell Wilson? Be interesting to watch these two exact same quarterbacks play this week.
I'm going to be watching the defensive line for the Bills. 26 sacks on the season. They're tied with Denver for first overall in the league. And are
you serious? I had no idea. Oh, this is going to be a struggle.
That's when you say it's a low scoring game. The offense could struggle against this Bills defense. Not their secondary and linebackers aren't in particular all that great, but they get to the quarterback.
And I don't dislike their corners, man. I think their corners are just.
Oh yeah, no, I'm just saying they're not outstanding corners, but they're clearly better than what the Saints have. But and you saw, Baldwin barely got any yardage against him. Tyler Lockett, he had a few catches, but they didn't put up the yards that I thought they would against those Saints corners.
Yeah, that's true. I wanted to give one shout out to a Seahawks player. P. Rich. Yeah. Paul Richardson had a couple nice little catches.
He needs to get more throws. From what we saw from him last week, he was looking good.
He's looking a little more dynamic than Lockett right now, as he's still working his way back to health. Although Lockett looked good on his kick returns. Yeah. He looked a lot better.
I think he got to the 35 on one of his kickoffs too, and that was about 5 yards deep or so. Yeah, that was good to see.
No, he had a couple shifty ones, and even some of the ones where he didn't break for longer ones, he, was able to make a couple guys miss and make a little something out of nothing. So let's just hope that Tyler Lockett on special teams returning is a positive for the special teams, and let's hope the kicking game gets its poop in a group for a week.
Do that.
Good Lord.
And bring Marshawn Lynch back.
Let's go to the second half of the show.
This week's 3 and 3 Out is chock full of Halloween goodies as we take a unique look at the Sunday loss to the Saints. We'll ask, where have all the good times and the sexy deep balls gone? And discuss which injured Seahawk looks to be about 95% of the way back, and why his return could spell the return of our offense. Holy crawfish, read this week's edition of 3 and 3 Out, exclusively written for the Seahawkers podcast.
Thanks to Clinton Bonner, writer for 3 in 3 Out. Be sure to check that out at Seahawkerspodcast.com/3i30. He's having another column coming out this week. Definitely looking into that.
You betcha, man. Always a gem. No doubt about it. Maybe it'll help make me feel a little better about this loss, too. That'd be nice.
We all need to feel a little bit better. Yeah. Well, speaking of things that are making me feel better, I'm watching this start of a Twitter war. Well, maybe a continuation of a Twitter war between Mike Freeman of Bleacher Report and Pete Prisco of CBS. Yeah, both of them owned by CBS, but two very different opinions on Russell Wilson. Because and yes. Mike Freeman knows how much Pete Prisco has a dislike for, or maybe just not a health. He just recognizes that Pete Prisco does not see things properly when he looks at Russell Wilson.
So this has been entertaining. One thing I want to get out to the world is, because I think this is important, the phrase Twitter war needs to be eliminated from ever. It's two keyboard warriors. Not only that, on their little phones like 13-year-old girls. I don't like the way that you talk about Russell Wilson. I don't like the way your fat head looks on TV. It's a Twitter spat.
Yeah.
It's a lover spat.
Well,
it's not a Twitter war.
I never liked the term war room either on draft day because there's no war going on there either.
That sounds cool. Like there's men making decisions, like important decisions. It's like a war room. But you're right.
It's not that important. Nobody.
Look, no. If you,
you're not gonna. Nobody's gonna die if you don't get your draft pick.
Yeah, that's exactly right. So if you wanted to tell me we need to eliminate that, I would get on board. I'm just saying it's not as absurd to me as a Twitter war.
Sure.
Come on.
Well, I liked how Patrick Hobson, when he saw this going on between Mike Freeman and Pete Prisco, he did tweet at us and say, "Cue Prisco's world music." So,
oh, fantastic! Good way to draw us into the battle.
Yeah,
this is great.
Yeah. So, follow Patrick Hobson at PHOB17.
Awesome. Thanks, man.
All right. The Seahawkers podcast is the official podcast of the official booster club of the Seattle Seahawks. A couple announcements. South Federal Way Seahawkers is teaming up with Jersey's and Grocery Outlet in Federal Way. They're going to be doing a benefit breakfast for low-income military families to raise money for Thanksgiving dinners. They say, please come out and support and have some breakfast, take part in the raffle to win a pair of tickets to the November 7th Monday night game against the Buffalo Bills. These are good seats too. Section 127, row II.
Ooh.
Yeah. Tickets are $10 each. All proceeds go to help feed military families. They're on sale now at Jersey's Sports Bar and Grocery Outlet in Federal Way. And then the drawing is going to be November 6th at 1 p.m. at Jersey's Sports Bar.
What a cool deal, man. This just kind of shows off how great all of the members of the Seahawkers are, the organization. And if you are not a member of the Seahawkers yet, get after it, man. Find your local chapter and get it done.
Yeah, go to Seahawkers.org. Check that out. Yeah, it's too bad. If we were there, because we're going in on Sunday, too bad we're not going to be there at 9 a.m. When the breakfast kicks off to 1 p.m.
Oh,
We probably have to get up at, 3 in the morning to make it out there by that time. But
yeah, no, I'm going to go to a concert Saturday night, too, so I'm out.
You're out?
I'm out. Yeah.
Well,
I'll still be drunk by the time we start driving.
Somebody else is going to check that out for you, so... Okay. I know people will be attending for that. South Seahawkers, they're going to be getting together at Round Table Pizza in Burien for the Patriots game that next Sunday night following the Bills game. And looks like a couple other get-togethers here. King Street Seahawkers, they're going to be doing their chili cook-off for the Packers game. And then the Scottish Seahawkers, they're going to be meeting up December 11th in Glasgow, Scotland. So, if you're over there in Scotland...
When would we have to leave to make it there in time as far as driving? Like maybe 3 a.m. on Saturday or on Sunday?
Well, I don't know. If there's any Navy ships leaving port from Norfolk, maybe we could hitch a ride on an aircraft carrier and travel over that
that'd
way.
Be sweet. Yeah, that's all I need. Yeah, just I need a little aircraft carrier ride.
Yeah.
We got another event to announce, though.
Oh.
This Sunday, Brandan, when we are in town.
That's right.
We are going to have a little bit of meet, or at least an invitation for anybody to come and meet up with us.
Yeah, and give us a little RSVP so we know you're coming. We can make sure there's plenty of food and beer for everybody. But we are going to be watching the Sunday night football game, Broncos Raiders.
Correct.
Okay, yeah, Broncos Raiders, and going to be doing a fish fry. And this is at the Military Seahawkers tailgate. It's at 1600 Utah Avenue South. Just plug that into your map. It's right. It should take you right to where we're going to be. And
so come on down. We'd love to see you guys for sure.
Shoot us an email, gohawks@seahawkerspodcast.com, or get at us any number of our normal ways at SeahawkersPod on Twitter, Facebook.com/SeahawkersPodcast. Just or hit the contact us button on SeahawkersPodcast.com. Let us know you're coming. We'd like to see you there.
You betcha. Well, one thing that impressed me this month, Brandan, now that we're done with Flocktober, is the fact that we made 150 donors.
Yeah.
You guys really stepped up. This was amazing. A big week.
Holy smokes. No kidding. Let's run down the list. We got Dimitri. Welcome to the flock to you in the Ring of Honor. Sean McCord, also welcome to the flock with his pledge to get in the Ring of Honor. A couple guys actually upped their pledge, like Ross Bell of the UK Seahawkers joining us in the Ring of Honor, upping his pledge to $6. And Joshua Wilson also upped his pledge. So, and Joshua sent along a note, says, joined last week, guys. This podcast is awesome. I'm another UK Hawks fan who until I discovered your podcast was stuck listening to another podcast. I was I was stuck listening to, I think, NFL pundits who had forgotten that the Hawks exist. Your podcast is awesome, and thanks for the catfish bleeps. I can just about get away with listening to it with my toddler around. At least if he starts shouting catfish, people won't get offended. Go Hawks from Josh.
That's true. And if your kid does start shouting catfish at people, we need a video of that. Like that needs to be seen. That's hilarious. And thanks, man, for upping your pledge. It's awesome. And because there are a limited amount of spots for the Ring of Honor, right, Brandan?
Yeah, that's right. And
but we're going to expand it just a little bit.
Well, I said 48, but I think Hector Mark had a good point in that it needs to be our active 53-man roster. And
yes.
And so, we'll up it to 53. It'll be our active 53.
Yeah, so get in, be on the active roster, get in the Ring of Honor. It's fun. I mean, I was back and forth with a lot of folks on the Ring of Honor during this last game. On the Facebook page. And again, there's a lot of great folks on there to chat with. You won't be sad about it.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. You were filling in well because I was at the Montana Seahawkers gathering here at Fat Boys in Kalispell. So that was fun.
Nice. Yeah. Hey, just carrying the water sometimes, I'm trying. Yeah. I'm trying not to be such a hermit.
Welcome to the flock to David Lorton. Also welcome to Eric Potsma and welcome to Morley Gordon. The three of them are in our Pick'em League, our patron Pick'em League. So
awesome.
Getting in on the prizes.
Welcome, guys. Well, no, they're not, because I'm still winning the prize. Like I'm not out.
No, I think you're not up there.
I'm not that far out.
I should pull this up so I can announce who's actually in the lead right now.
Okay, was that all of our folks that got in the flock this week?
I got a couple more. I got welcome to the flock to Michael West, Michael in Virginia Beach. He sent in a comment.
Oh, yeah.
Said, see, this is who we can get a ride with over to England if we're going to ride an aircraft carrier, because Michael on board the H.W. Bush. He says, I finally got out and donated, had to do something after all the time I've spent listening. I wrote in a while back and received the shout out in episode 111 for listening while aboard the USS George H.W. Bush. Much appreciated. Yes. As I came into the program late, I have taken to listening to all the episodes in sequence. I'm at episode 65 and trekking along. I'm reliving the last 3 years all over again and loving every minute of it. Whether the highs or the lows, I've loved my Hawks throughout. I do so enjoy listening to you fine gentlemen, and I appreciate the product you produce greatly. Again, thanks from all those Seahawks fans displaced across the nation, and a quick shout out to the 12th Man of Virginia Facebook page. Thanks, guys, and keep it up. Oh, yeah. How do I get to the extra podcasts? And yes, Michael brings up a good point here. Getting to the extra podcast, once you sign up at getintheflock.com, the best way to do it, in the easiest way, and the way I recommend most, is downloading the Patreon app. And once you download the Patreon app, put in your login credentials that you do to sign up to donate. You will get all the bonus shows right through there. Works like most other podcasts app, and it's really handy for getting those bonuses. There's other ways to get them too. And if you listen through either of our dedicated apps, I can give you a code for 1 free year of signing up.
You betcha. And so just a big thanks to all you folks that got in the flock. There's more.
There's 2 more.
2 more. How did I miss that?
3 more. Welcome to the flock to Lorenzo Bonfiglio. And welcome to the flock to Brett McLean, who he sent along a message to. Also, always knew I would join the flock, and no better time than Flocktober. Great show last week, and Brandan. Truly an Alamo-esque defensive stand by this legendary defense against the Cardinals. And finally, we have to mention Tim Connolly, Adam, joining the flock.
Oh, yes. So we cleansed his Akra, and he took the advice and joined. So thanks, Tim. Appreciate that. But I just want to make sure Tim doesn't get down. It was not his fault.
Voodoo.
That the Seahawks
lost. It was Voodoo's
lost.
fault.
It was Voodoo's fault. And it was Ed Hockley. All that.
Well, he did send along a message, said, I just got done listening to this week's podcast, and I appreciate all the time that the 2 of you spent realigning my Hawkra. Just another example of how the 12s are one of the best fan bases in the sports universe. After all that, I thought it was only fair to join the flock as Adam instructed and pledge to the podcast. I've been listening for about 2 years now and had given thought to becoming a patron in the past, but this week's show gave me the motivation I needed to finally take the initiative and make the pledge official. Who knows? Maybe this is what sparks the Seahawks to a long winning streak that gets them home field advantage in the playoffs again so they can get back to the big game and right the wrongs that took place in Super Bowl 49. If anything, I'm ready to cheer them on the rest of the way. Thanks again for the help, and go Hawks.
Go Hawks, Tim. And welcome to the flock, man. It's funny. We had, I wish I could remember who had sent this tweet, but basically saying that I may have a future as a cult leader if this whole, podcast / sawmill thing doesn't work out, So, basically because we did the kind of religious ceremonies and I asked for money right. All at the same time.
No, your status as cult leader is strengthening for sure.
It is strengthening. You bet. I'm mixing up some Kool-Aid. It's going to be great.
Yeah. Come hang out with us on Sunday as we quote unquote watch the game.
Exactly. Well, thank you so much to all of you guys who got in the flock here. And again, it goes to help everything with the show. I mean, we're just breaking some stuff down for Brandan and I as far as costs and stuff for the show. And basically, we've just gotten to the break-even point.
Right.
On a monthly basis, which is great finally, and after 3 years of, kind of just putting in our own money into it, it's been so helpful. So basically we do this. It's a value for value thing. If you value the show, if this is something that makes your life a little better, we're going to get to that second show goal sooner rather than later.
Yep. Getintheflock.com. And like Adam said, sooner than later, I think we're going to be getting to that second show. So looking at the our members of the flock and the patron league, Easley Street on top of the league with 1,050 points. 50 points ahead of second place. Rawls out, balls out, and AK 12th man.
He's at 1,050?
1,050. Yeah. That's like 300 ahead of where I am right now. Almost.
Yeah, that's 200. That's 200 ahead of me.
Dang it. Yeah. So, Easley Street in the lead for that signed Largent jersey. And looking at the week 8 winners, we had a couple people finish on top with 140. We had Seahawk MX and Flocktoberfest, both finishing with 140 points. That's only 2 losses. And when you account for the fact that one of those losses was the Seahawks game.
They had a hot week.
Only missing 1 game each.
And that was tough too. That was a tough week to pick.
Let's look and see. Yeah, well, we had 1 tie. So looks like the Vikings Bears, there was 10 points difference in that game. That was both of them they tied. We had a tie this week between those two because they both picked incorrectly and picked the Vikings.
Oh, wow. Well, there you go. I mean, they're kissing sisters.
It's only fitting that we had another tie this week that we'd have a tie in our patron league. So
yeah, no kidding, right? Holy smokes. I've never seen that many ties in a season ever.
No. And then
I know it's all of 2, but you know what I'm getting at.
you maybe ever see 1, never see 2.
Right. Let alone back-to-back weeks.
Right. Yeah. Crazy. And you almost had a third. The Raiders and the Bucks almost tied.
Yeah. Craziness.
Yeah. Well, looking at, and as the season goes on, the KJ Wright autograph football is looking better and better, isn't it?
It's looking better and better. Yeah, it is. Man, he's been a monster.
And Easley Street on top of the regular Pick'em League, but M Jelly 20 and Bullbuster as well in third place. So at 990 points. Nice grouping there.
Nice grouping. You guys are killing it, much like I'm killing both Brandan and Jared at picks. I had another week yet again where I extended my lead, so that felt nice.
And we have to talk about something, Adam, because in the Seahawkers podcast Pick'em League, number 1 overall, a team named Wilson Seahawks with 150 points. But the problem is, when I go to see what games they picked incorrectly, they picked the Seahawks Saints game correctly, Adam.
They lost this week.
Yeah.
No, what was the name of the team name again?
Wilson Seahawks.
Wilson Seahawks. So that's clearly a Seahawks fan. You can't do that. You can't do that. You got to ride with your team. You lose this week.
Yeah, that's a minus 40. That's 110 points.
Yeah, it's a minus 40. Yeah. Can't have that.
I was tempted to ban them permanently, but maybe they didn't know.
No,
maybe they didn't know.
We're not going to ban anybody. Get out of here. but you won't be recognized as the official winner of the week for that.
No, definitely not. You have to be picking the Seahawks week to week. That's part of your you're hurting.
Duty,
you're hurting your reputation in Seahawks fandom by picking against them.
Yeah, no doubt.
And then looking at pretty much everybody picked Vikings Bears except for someone who picked the Chargers over the Broncos in this week, and I believe that was Small Medium Largent.
Oh.
So I think our
Very
official
good.
winner this week, Small Medium Largent.
There it is. I also had picked the Chargers, so
I did too.
I understand where the thinking was.
I did too. Yeah.
All right, onto my weekly nomination for name I like, and just because it stands out and one that I just wanted to recognize this week in honor of the fact that CJ Procise kind of had a bit of a breakout game, finally coming back from injury. The Procise is right. I like it. Not only that, but right is spelled like KJ Wright. WRIGHT.
Oh, yeah, so you got the Price is Right theme in there with two players.
That's solid, man. That's solid. They may get 2 stickers for that. So email in with your name and address and all that, and we'll get you the hookup, man. But solid, well done. The Procise is right.
Indeed. All right. Well, let's go ahead and get to some email, Adam.
Wow, we have more because we worked a lot into the front half of the show. This is getting to be a lot.
I like it, though. This is fun.
Oh, I love it. I love it. Should be your guys' show, man. We always say that.
Here's one from Kim. Says, sorry, fellow 12s. I think this loss is on me. Every other week I've been painting my nails Seahawks colors for good luck. But this week I had a Halloween party to go to Saturday night and painted them red instead. I thought as long as they weren't Saints colors, I would be okay. But clearly I was wrong. My bad. I'll be back on track next week. Can't wait to hear what you guys have to say about this one. Thanks for all you do, and I'm excited to see you all in my podcast feed. Go Hawks.
Go Hawks, Kim. Hey, look, one thing I had never considered, Brandon, as far as your attire and game prep, your lucky game prep, was the idea of fingernail color. That's never occurred to me. And when I heard this, at first I was like, oh, well, how would you know? Like, and you went away from Saints colors. I get all that. Like, that probably felt safe. But then I thought about it, and I was like, Brandon, how is she not going something Seahawks related to this Halloween party? How could you not dress up something Seahawks related? Therefore, you would have painted your nails then Seahawks colors. So really, Kim, you screwed up your costume and you lost the game for us. It's all your fault.
That's a really good point. Next time you should go as the mother of a player on the team and just wear a jersey.
Or go as a player of the team, or go as one of the Seagulls, or go as Blitz. Like, go as Pete Carroll.
That way you can coordinate your nail color with the uniform.
That's all I'm getting at. And then that way we don't have to lose a game in New Orleans that we shouldn't have lost.
I like where you're...
And you'll look cooler at the costume party. Although maybe your costume was awesome. I don't know.
Send us a picture of your costume so we can judge how awesome it was.
Okay, fair enough. That way, yeah.
Then we can make a clear decision and ruling on this.
That's how we do this. Okay.
Here's another loss ownership from Paul Martin. Says, I'll own it this week. It's not down to lucky gear or sitting in the right seat, but it goes back to a season and a half now. The frickin' Saints seem to be deliberately screwing me over in every pick and prediction on purpose. There's no way I was going to pick against the Hawks, so therefore I picked against the Saints, who once again cost me points. I've been trying not to take it personally, but I really hate the Saints.
I hear you, Martin, man. Like, look, there's just there's always one or two teams every year that just
you can't pick them. You can't pick them right.
You can't pick them right. And I haven't decided if it's been the Lions or the Redskins for me yet, because it's both been about as bad. Like, it's always one of those two. I feel your pain, man. I feel your pain. Pick 'em luck is tough.
It is. And I mentioned Hector Mark a little bit back when we were talking about our Active 53, which reminds me of our anniversaries. We missed them last week, but yes. Anniversaries this week. A shout out to Flock members. Alexandra, been with us for a year. Robert Gomes. Shout out to Josh McClelland, Craig Hirsch, Joshua Arvidsson, Hector Mark, of course, Keegan Kellogg, and Fernando Tejada. I think Fernando, he was one of the winners this week, too, on the Patron League. So, yeah, very cool.
Awesome. Oh, good for Fernando. You know what's awesome about that? Is that I actually recognize every one of those names. Like every time we've come up with the anniversary, I'm always like, oh yeah. Not so much that I'd ever forgotten about him, but just been like, oh, I guess it has been a year.
Right.
I mean, it's pretty amazing.
Well, and a lot of these folks too, when we first started the Patreon thing, they were the first ones to jump on board, and they essentially, a lot of these folks had been listening to the show since we started.
Yeah, isn't that crazy? Yeah. Thank you guys so much, man. And that's another thing. It's not so, we recognize all the people that join, that are new. Man, the people that continue to donate month in, month out, you guys are amazing.
It's very cool. So continuing with the email, Logan from Spokane, Washington, at the Yohanders on Twitter, says, Seattle, we do in fact have a problem. 28, 27. These numbers are not my lucky lottery numbers, but our run block 28 and our pass block 27 rankings according to a little research from various analytics sites. I know it doesn't take a football nerd to realize how bad the line is, but it's really bad. Left tackle, including rotational players' performance, is the bottom of the league for rank. And Logan goes into kind of the individual positions with more detail. But he says, everyone screams for Darrell Bevell and his head. But what can he do when Wilson can't stay protected and has lost his mobility? Maybe we should look at Tom Cable for some of this blame. When I see teams that use the do your job formula, aka the dare I say Patriots formula, and the plug and play people, when their key people are injured and still able to make their scheme work, I remember Cable blaming the spread offense for ruining the fundamentals of offensive line rookies coming into the NFL, and then college coaches blasting Cable for doing a poor job and shifting blame. My response, I like Tom Cable, but it's his job to build up the rookies and develop them. Don't put the blame on anyone else but yourself for what is happening. Do better. Maybe it's time to look for help and delegate coaching and developing linemen to someone else, maybe from college, looking for that foot in the door to the NFL, and by keeping Cable in his assistant coaching role primarily. Also, I am well aware you can't just place a player in a position and expect him to perform. Vertical, West Coast, zone run, all offenses vary. I get that, but we have a legit shot to get to another Super Bowl. But we need to protect Wilson, or this will go down in flames faster than you can say catfish. Take care. Go Hawks, from Logan.
Logan, I think Logan brought up one of the very important points regarding this offensive line thing, I think. And it's that it is coming at the expense of a Super Bowl caliber team. I think that's what's the most frustrating thing about this, is that this team, with skill position wise on offense, this team defensively, obviously, let's not lie, the special teams will get their poop back in a group here. Like, they will. I mean, it's not going to be like this all season. This is a championship caliber team, except for one position group, and that's what makes this so frustrating. I couldn't agree with Logan more. And look, I mean, obviously he wants to point the blame more at Tom Cable. I tend to kind of point it more at Schneider. Maybe it should be more at Carroll. I guess I don't know who has the final say as to, okay, this is how we're doing this offensive line wise. And I think we all kind of pick our favorite whipping boy in that.
Well, maybe we should give Tom Cable a little credit, because it is the number 32 paid offensive line. And when I see run block at 28 and pass block at 27,
that's overachieving.
That's better than 32. So he's coaching them up.
Oh my God. That just made my head hurt. Oh my God, they are overachieving.
Exactly.
That's so sad. That's so sad.
Well, what do you say? We got a call here from Ben Morhaime. Not sure if I'm...
Yeah. All right. I love the call.
Let's play that.
Hi, Adam. Hi, Brandon. This is Ben. I'm Porter's dad. I was the guy trying to get your help in getting rid of my tickets to the Dolphins game from the labor and delivery room where my son, Porter, was being born. Yeah, there's a subtle reference to good old number 97 in that, too. I wanted to get in touch with you for a couple of reasons. One, been listening to you guys for a couple of years now. I mean, from very early on, and want to say thank you for all your hard work and dedication. We really, as Hawks and 12s, really appreciate it. Also wanted to reach out and give you a little offer of help and give you a little nudge too on getting out the stickers. I finally got mine this off season and want to say thank you for that. And wanted to offer for you guys, I run a business that manufactures stamps and mainly would be a return address stamp. I would look to do for you guys gratis.
Ooh.
Something maybe with your Seahawkers podcast logo and a return address. And I would want to know what address you guys want on the stamp, so you can make those envelopes that much easier to label and get out to us fellow 12s. I also need to call in or talk to you guys and tell you some of the amazing stories between my wife and my family. I mean, we date back. Our season ticket holder flag we got last season is 1975. Of course, the inaugural season was 76. That's how far back both my wife's and my family go. In fact, her grandparents and my grandparents were season ticket holders next to each other in the Kingdom. We didn't find that out until we were already engaged. So lots of great stories. I mean, from a Little League football player here in the Northwest and you guys may have to do some research on this story, but I'm back in the old blackout days where if the Kingdom wasn't sold out, it wouldn't be locally broadcast. As a local Little League football player, the story went to us is that the Nordstrom family bought up the extra tickets so that it would be broadcast locally on television. And us Little League football players, I remember coaches coming in with a stack of tickets and saying, how many siblings and parents are going to go to the game with you? And I got to go to a couple of Seahawks games. And for my knowledge, is on the Nordstrom family. So wanted to send you a message, wanted to finally reach out because I've listened to all the great contributions from fellow 12s or from around the world. And just wanted to put my 2 cents in and thank you guys for all your hard work. And of course, go Hawks.
Yeah, go Hawks, Ben. So many good stories there. For one, when he contacted me, when Porter was being born, and yes, I like the reference to Rufus Porter. Very cool. And but yeah, trying to find someone to pass along tickets to while he was in the delivery room, and see, that just shows you where your Seahawks fan head is at. Is that somebody has to fill my seats to make noise at this game.
Right, exactly. I mean, I'm out with family business. I got to get somebody in there. Yeah. Another, and the idea too to help us out with the envelope stickers and all that. That'd be awesome, man. That would be super cool.
Yep. And the address for that. If I don't get it to you by email, I'll leave it here. It's P.O. Box 8642, and that's here in Kalispell, Montana 59904. You can send us to, anyone can send us anything there. It's just our post office box. I should actually put that up on the website. Yeah.
We should maybe tell people how to spell Kalispell too.
No, it's with a K.
and the rest of it's it's a Salish word, so it's most people you'll find it.
But yeah, and for their grandparents to be seated next to each other in the Kingdom and to not find out about that until after they're engaged,
isn't that crazy?
That's a crazy story.
That's gonna be that's got to be the strongest marriage of all time. Yeah. Like, it's bound together by generations of 12 fandom, man. Uh-huh. Like, that's an unbreakable
That's how
bond.
you know you're destined for one another, too.
Hell yeah, man.
Yeah.
Hell yeah. That's it. That was awesome. Ben, that was a great call. I do love the calls. How can people call in and leave a message, Brandon?
Well, they could do like Ben did and record it on their phone and send in an email because he was over 2 minutes. If you're over 2 minutes, 253-235-9041, you will get cut off after 2 minutes. But Ben, yes, the sound quality is better too when you email it to us at gohawks@seahawkerspodcast.com. Also wanted to reference to the end of his call about the Nordstrom family buying up. I remember hearing, I always wondered that when the blackout days happened, because they say they buy the tickets so it can be broadcast. Right. I always wondered what happened to the actual tickets. Do they just buy the tickets and nobody goes and sits in the seats? But clearly, Ben, as a little leaguer, ended up getting tickets to a game because that's where the tickets were going to. Very cool.
That is very cool. I mean, it just shows the involvement that the Nordstroms have in the Northwest area there. And I mean, they're a pretty amazing family.
Yeah. Too bad that they sold the team to Ken Behring, but
yeah, I know. But what are you going to do?
But now we have Paul Allen. It's all good.
Yeah, exactly.
All right. On to a couple more email. Here's one from Shane. Says, hey guys, this is the first time I've written in and want to start by saying I love the podcast. You both do an awesome job. I just listened to the podcast after the Cardinals game. You read a listener email from Matt about calling out Darrell Bevell, and Adam promptly shot it down. Anyway, like the Seahawks players have each other backs, I want Matt to know that I got his on this.
All right. All right, Shane.
He was correct in saying the Seahawks offense was lackluster against the Falcons, only moving the ball on short fields. They were ill-prepared for the Cardinals and only moved the ball at the end of the game. This was not because of adjustments, as Adam suggested, but because the Cardinals defense got tired and the refs stopped throwing as many flags. Anyway, I'm not a Bevel hater, and I don't think he needs to be fired, at least right now. But Adam, when are you going to start laying at least some of the blame on the guy? Stop using the O-line as an excuse for him. They're bad, but he has to have a hand in that, or at least figure out how to use those personnel or others to compensate. Like Matt, I just think the Hawks could do better. Since this week, opponent is the Saints, all will be fine, though, as the Hawks offense should be able to put good numbers again. No hard feelings, Adam. I think Bevel is the only thing we seem to disagree about. Other things like Pokemon, I couldn't agree with you more.
No, it's funny. I as far as Shane writing in and taking me to task a little bit, that's fine. That's fine. I'll take it. But just earlier in the show, was I not just talking about the idea that they need to run the ball more? Like they actually have to try to run the ball more? And that kind of falls on Bevel. So, Shane, I'm trying, man. I'm trying to spread a little blame around. But to me, still, at the end of the day, when I'm really looking at this, I feel like this is personnel a lot more than X's and O's.
Yeah. When you're placing blame, it's awfully hard to do when there's so many people, right?
Right. Well, there's at least 5 of them.
Yeah. Well, and I think we're just trying to be proportionate, and I think an overproportionate goes toward Bevel when I think there's others that you can kind of send it to as well.
Right. Exactly. So I don't know. I mean, Bevel's been the head of some very good offenses. I mean, look at where the Seahawks ranked at the end of last year when it came to total offense, and the year before that. I mean, it's. He's done the job. I mean, he really has.
Better than Jeremy Bates ever did, that's for sure.
Oh, good Lord, yes. And that's the thing. I mean, at the end of the day, the guys have to go out there and execute it. And that offensive line is just not freaking executing. And it's not an excuse. There's a difference between an excuse and a reason. An excuse is something to just like cover up what it is that you did wrong. The thing is that Darrell Bevel doesn't pick these guys. And he can tell them to go to the right spot. But if they don't execute it, that's not an excuse. That's a reason. Yeah. I mean, they didn't execute.
Well, take the final play, for example, right? That play call was just fine, but it wasn't executed to the point to where they could score a touchdown. Russell threw it a little high. Curse couldn't get his foot in bounds. Those are execution points. So you can't always blame play calls.
And so maybe that kind of brings me back to, God, defending Darrell Bevel seemingly. I don't know how I became the defense minister for Darrell Bevel, but maybe when I look at penalties and that sort of thing, yes, the offense is Darrell Bevel's group, but penalties specifically, that goes to the head coach.
Yeah, and I heard Carroll take the blame for that specifically after this game. Yeah. He said that our team has to do better with penalties. Point blank.
Yeah, point blank. So, I mean, I guess he's made it easy for me to point the blame at.
Yeah. So sorry, Shane, that your prognostication of the team being able to score points on the Saints. Yes, they did score more points, but I'm sure you're not happy with the number either.
Yeah, and that's okay, because that's one of the many things we do agree on, Shane. You're right.
Score more points.
Yeah.
Here's one from Doc Scott. Says, hey, guys.
Oh, right.
After watching our defense play above and beyond of what we can ask for them, but on the flip side, watch our offense struggle for a second consecutive week. I have a question about Russell Wilson. Well, more specifically about his injuries and how they are affecting him. With week-to-week games like his, I assume it's his, insistent not to miss practice. Is that as good as it's going to get with his knee and ankle? I mean, we can hope by December, for example, that the brace comes off the knee and the ankle strapping comes off, or is this it for the rest of the season? It's obvious he is severely limited at the moment, and until Rawls comes back, we have no running game at all. He can't scramble to keep his plays alive, and we have become one-dimensional on offense. Was just wondering if you had more info on the injuries and the projected recovery times. Thanks as always for the great work. Go Hawks.
Well, Doc, I'm looking to send a whole case of nanobubbles to Russell Wilson so that this gets taken care of sooner than later, man. It's an interesting question. I'd really wondered about that myself over the last week or so. Is this peak Russ? Is this what we got for the rest of the year? And I think you saw, I mean, you mentioned it, Brandon, the ankle tape is now off in this last game.
I guess he had ankle braces under the tape, and the ankles are still taped. So that was really what was, I think, severely hampering him. And Pete mentioned that the ankle braces did come off, although they are still taped. So I think that's why he had a little more mobility against the Saints.
Holy smokes. I had no idea that he had braces on.
Yeah, he was full on robotic lower extremities.
Oh my God. Yeah, this is... He's in rough shape, but I think he is healing up. I mean, it's going to be slow, and I think kind of Doc's idea of like maybe December. I mean, that seems about right, but you know, I'm no doctor, so. Yeah,
he's got to stay healthy and not get any additional injuries, right? I mean, we saw with the pectoral injury, we saw a few years back, we saw Tavares Jackson play almost through an entire season with a torn pectoral injury, and I don't think we know the severity of Russell's.
No.
But it didn't look like he was severely hampered by the pectoral injury in this game. I mean, he still threw for 250 yards. He hasn't had the touchdowns in the last couple games, but that's because they've been running it inside the red zone for the couple scores that they've had. But yeah, I think he's going to be limited. He's not going to be classic Russell with the scrambling, but I think this last game showed that he can start to get better. And another thing Pete mentioned is that they can go to a smaller knee brace as the season goes on as well. So once that knee starts to become a little more stable, they can change it up and have a little smaller brace and gives them a little bit more ability as well.
Right. So yeah, it'll be baby steps until he gets there. But God, I'm with you, Doc. I can't wait. I can't wait.
One final one from Zach in Bridgeport, Texas. Nearly every one of the 12s out there had some pretty high expectations going into the season, going to and winning the Super Bowl. But after watching our offense the past couple of weeks, I think it is safe to say that many of us are scared that our dreams of a Super Bowl might be crushed. Not only is our offense playing poorly, but there is another NFC team that seems kind of scary right now. Cowboys. And I hate the Cowboys. We can't let them win it. Adam, you told us many times we're going to the Super Bowl. Please tell me that we are still going to the Super Bowl and will win it too. I'm sure I'm not alone in my feelings of desperation. Please tell us that our dreams haven't been crushed because of an invisible offensive line. Go Hawks, from Zach.
Go Hawks, Zach. You know, there's a lot of things I could say to try to put you at ease and try to paint a rosy picture and all of that. But really, there's only one thing that I can say. We're going to the Super Bowl, Brandon. That's it. We're going. We're going. This team always gets hot in the second half. The offensive line always seems to gel better by the second half of the season for whatever reason. We're going to get Bradley Sowell back at some point, and he is better than what we got going out there. You saw the offense actually score 30-plus points a few different times when we had our starting five out there. And so we're going to get that back. We're going to start hanging some points again. We're going to be a division-winning team. I don't know if we'll be a 1 or a 2 seed, but it don't make no never mind, because at the end of the year, once Russell's healthy again and Lockett's healthy again, this thing's going to click, and we're going to the freaking Super Bowl.
When you look around the rest of the league, yes, the Patriots clearly, right now, you can absolutely say, without a doubt, they are the most dominant team in the NFL right now.
They're the one complete team in football.
They're the one team. But when you look apart from that, you look at the dominant defenses in the league. You have Minnesota, you have the Seahawks, you have Denver, and Philly is actually showing that they're one of the dominant defenses in the league right now. But when you look at those other teams, well, for one, Denver's in the FC, so let them deal with the Patriots if they make the championship game between those two teams. But when I look at Minnesota and Philly, you have Philly with a rookie quarterback. Mm-hmm. You have Dallas with a rookie quarterback, and then you have Minnesota with Sam Bradford as quarterback. I like my chances in the playoffs against two rookie quarterbacks and a guy who's never played in the playoffs as far as I can remember, right? Definitely not with the Rams. No. So I like my chances against those teams. Yes, they may have good defenses, but our offense, even with a poor offensive line, or, as you can hope for, maybe a top 25 offensive line.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I still think that with the dominant defense and having what we do on offense gives us the edge in the NFC. And there's nobody else I can look to and say that.
I think you're 100% right. And really, when you think about it, I mean, the Broncos won the Super Bowl last year. And would you take this offense or the Broncos offense from last year?
100%. This offense.
Even
with the offensive line. Maybe the Denver Broncos offensive line a little bit better in the Super Bowl, but I would take this team every day.
Every day. Every day. And really, the one scary team in the NFC at this point seems to be the Cowboys. But, man, I still don't buy that smoke and mirrors that is their defense, man. There is no way that defense is as good as it's played up until this point. We are one Sean Lee concussion away from that defense falling apart.
Well,
it's not good.
I will say that's why it is so important for the Seahawks to get that first round bye. Just so we can have, for one, a bye. Mm-hmm. And then, two, I could see the Dallas Cowboys getting knocked out. If they get a number one seed, maybe they get knocked out in their first game of the playoffs. Then the playoffs come to CenturyLink.
Right.
For the NFC Championship.
Hey, man, having home field advantage, we've seen it as a big deal for the Seahawks in the playoffs. I mean, it'd be amazing if we can get it, but they're gonna have to go on a run here in the second half.
Because I will say I don't think that this Seahawks team is a number one seed.
Right now?
Right now.
No, they're not playing like it.
They're not playing like it. I don't think the schedule lines up well enough for them to go on enough of a run to catch the other teams. But
I don't worry about the schedule at all.
I just don't see us getting a number one seed at this point.
Maybe.
But maybe a number two.
I'm not ready to say we're not gonna. I'll put it to you that way.
Okay.
I think we have as good a shot as any other contending team in the NFC at getting the number one seed.
All right, on to do better at life.
Oh, you bet. They're just good emails, guys. Man, lots of them. We appreciate it. Keep sending them in.
Especially when we go to 2 shows a week, then that'll give us some more time to talk email.
Yeah, exactly, right? Need more talk about emails. You might need to do better now, Brandan. All right, let's go. Let's move on to do better. Who you got?
My do better this week. I'm going a little bit off the board, off the sports board this week. And my do better this week is for Snooty Brooks Barnes of the New York Times. And I was reading about Inferno is a movie that just came out, directed by Ron Howard. And we direct our do better at media all the time, and that's where I'm going with this one. I saw the headline that said Inferno is director Ron Howard's 4th domestic flop. And it really bugs me to see movies described as flops, especially when I read an article and I see that this particular movie, and I haven't seen it. I've heard that people have enjoyed it.
What is the premise of this movie again?
This is the 3rd in the series of what was the first one? Angels and Demons was the second one.
This was a series?
Yeah, it was a series of Dan Brown books. And I saw the first movie. It was... Okay.
Is this like the Da Vinci Code stuff?
Da Vinci Code was the first one, yeah.
Oh, okay.
Da Vinci Code, Angels and Demons, and Inferno's the third one in the trilogy.
Yeah, I haven't seen any of these. So,
but here's the thing: when you hear about a flop, you expect that it's not making money, because that's what directors do. They make movies, 1, to entertain, 2, to make money. Inferno grossed $150 million in 2 weeks. It cost $75 million to make.
That's a tidy profit.
that is a tidy profit and hardly a flop. So, they don't have in the $75 million it took to make the movie, that doesn't include marketing. But I'm guessing they didn't spend just as much on marketing that it cost to make the movie.
Say they even spent $10 million. That's like presidential campaign level.
Yeah. So it bugs me when I see snooty people from the New York Times like Brooks Barnes talk about, indie movies are so great and big budget blockbusters stink. When that attitude, it bugs me. And when you take a shot at Richie Cunningham, you're taking a shot at America. So Brooks Barnes, do better.
Who's Richie Cunningham? Oh, I got it. Okay, Richie Cunningham. I got it now.
Ron Howard.
Yeah, I got it now. Hey, man, I tend to be of the mindset that I prefer some of the off the radar movies than I do the blockbusters.
I do too.
In general, blockbusters. I've seen that story. You know what I mean? Like I've seen Spider-Man 6 times. You know, like I've had enough. Yeah, so I get that. So maybe that's how he's describing.
There's a place for both, Adam.
Maybe that's how he's describing it. It's a flop in the sense of whether or not it's a good movie, not whether or not it's a popular movie. Because they made 7 of those Fast and Furious freaking movies.
But yes, there's a reason why they made that many movies, because there are people out there that enjoy them, even if it's not you. So don't be a snob, Adam.
They're bad movies.
I don't care if they're bad or not. They're entertaining.
Are they?
Well, I don't know. I haven't seen all 7 of them.
I had to watch a half of one in the hotel room once, and if I could somehow bleach that from my brain, I'd be a better person.
My point is, you have to take into account the mindset of other people, not just yourself. Don't be snobby and snooty. Other people enjoy them. Just like presidential campaigns, Adam. There are many people that want to vote for a particular candidate. There are millions of people behind each one of these candidates. You have to understand that just because they have a different viewpoint in life from you doesn't mean they're wrong.
And it's also true that 80% of the population is below average. And I know the math doesn't work out on that, but it somehow makes the sense. Just saying.
Well, if anything, I think we should have the real Ron Howard on the show. You know, the one that played tight end for the Seahawks. He was one of the original Seahawks.
That's true. That is true.
So,
all right, man. Well,
he doesn't make movies, though.
Oh, no.
But I'd rather talk to him over the movie making Ron Howard.
No, either way, that'd be a good conversation.
Either one would be a good conversation. That's true.
Yeah. Well,
we could ask Ron Howard what he thinks if Brooks Barnes is Ron Howard's version of Pete Prisco.
Right. Yeah. He's going to have to come up with some catchy theme music. All right, man. I'm going to talk about somebody who I think might be in that 80% that's below average. And we get on media quite a bit, but we also get on announcers quite a bit. And there was a 3-man booth for the Seahawks game this week, and I already exclaimed my disgust for Charles Davis. I'm not a fan. I think he says kind of dumb stuff for the most part. But boy, you know how you fix stupid? It's not by putting more stupid next to the guy. Because Chris Spielman, man, he had one thing that he said during this game that really I couldn't believe the words were coming out of his mouth. So we talked earlier about the pick play in the end zone where the slot receiver just takes and pile drives Jeremy Lane back into the end zone. It's so illegal. It's not even funny. They just got done talking about how illegal it was because you only get a yard to block the potential DB. Right? No, before the ball's thrown. No, he drives him like 7 yards back. And Chris Spielman comes out and he says right after that, that's a great play. Every team should have that play in their playbook. It's unstoppable. You know why it's unstoppable, Chris? Because it's freaking illegal. It's called cheating. That's why it's unstoppable. And for being an idiot and even suggesting that you should put cheating in your playbook, do better.
I don't know. Bill Belichick might take that to heart.
I guess so, man. And plus, I heard Spielman, his interview with Brock and Salk, and that was an awkward interview. They're like, so when you get to sit down and talk to Pete and everything, like, what questions you ask me? He's like, I'm not going to ask him any questions. If I had to ask him questions, that means I'm not doing my job. I already know what they do.
What?
Like, how arrogant is that? I already know what they're doing.
Then why have those meetings?
You and me both, man. I do hands in the air. I have no freaking clue.
So Spielman goes into a game knowing exactly what the Seahawks are going to game plan for.
Oh, yeah.
He doesn't need to know. He doesn't need to ask the coach.
I watch the tape.
They don't do anything different from team to team. It's the same thing every time.
Yeah. If I didn't watch the tape, then I wouldn't be doing my job. Well, yeah, freaking dot, dude. But you were a linebacker, all right? You're not a Mensa scholar. Like, you're just, come on. Maybe ask a question. And understand that you can't have cheating plays in your playbook. You can't have it. Because it's unstoppable.
That's a good place to start.
God, what a moron.
Holy smokes. All right. On to Better at Life, Adam. Who you got?
My Better at Life this week is baseball related, even though I rarely watch baseball. But I have watched 2 games of this World Series, the first 2. And you bet your bottom dollar, I'm watching the one tonight. It is Game 7, Brandon.
Yeah.
So my Better at Life than Skip Bayless this week is for the Chicago Cubs, who's carrying the weight of the world on their back to get down 3-1 in this series, claw their way back, and now have the opportunity to kill the curse of the GOAT, man, of the Billy Goat. I love it. I think it's great. I love these kind of stories in sports. I was talking about this with my daughter, Isabel, and she's even into it. She hates this kind of junk. And she's totally like, oh, the Cubs for sure. And you know what? The Cleveland Indians don't need to win this. Cleveland got a title last year. LeBron James brought that home. He finally did that for you guys. You don't get 2 titles in 2 years back to back. You're not Boston. You don't get those sort of things, whether it's the Bruins, the Celtics, or the Pats, all right? You're Cleveland. You got one. Be happy. Sit down. It's now time for the Chicago Cubs and for fighting back and showing heart. Better at life than Skip Bayless.
Oh, come on. If you're going to do that, if you're going to call out the Indians fans for being just happy with I don't know if there's a whole lot of crossover between Indians fans and Cavaliers fans. Are you saying that Chicago Cubs fans should be satisfied because the Bulls went on a huge run with Michael Jordan back then, that they should be satisfied with the number of championships their city has? The Chicago Blackhawks, those titles counts for something. If that's the
exactly
case,
what I'm saying.
I'm all on board for the Indians, Adam. And you know why? Major League is why.
What? Major League has nothing to do with that. Those are fake Indians.
I love those guys. That was one of my favorite Indians teams of all time.
They were a great team. It was a bunch of characters, a bunch of underdogs. You gotta love that.
And Lou, the manager, I love that guy.
I heard they were gonna have Charlie Sheen throw out our first pitch like sometimes during the series. Did that happen?
Oh, that would be cool. I don't know.
Yeah. Well,
give him the heater.
Yeah, right. Look, I mean, the Cleveland, you should just be happy. You say you don't know how much overlap is between the fan bases. I'm going to go out on a limb and predict that 80% of Mariners fans are Seahawks fans.
Yeah, but how many Mariners fans are Sonics fans? I think it's still 80%.
What does that have to do with anything? Sonics don't exist anymore.
I'm comparing baseball to basketball. You're going baseball to football.
I'm just going sport to sport. Just fan bases from the same city.
I'm saying Chicago has had plenty of luck recently in terms of their sports fandom.
Have they?
Cleveland has 1 title with their basketball team.
Yeah, that's more than they deserve. God hates Cleveland.
And Minnesota.
Yeah, that's new this year. I don't know what happened up there. But yeah, God's not happy.
Apparently you are the God's reporter as well.
Yeah, some people call those prophets.
On to my better life.
Yeah.
My better life this week is for defensive end Cliff Averill, the Seahawks nominee for the 2016 Walter Payton NFL Man of the Year Award, and
the housing commissioner.
The housing commissioner. He's gotten titles through the show, nicknames, but yet we have not had him recognized in our Better at Life segment.
Wow.
I have gone, well, at least not this year.
Oh, okay.
And with all of his efforts with Haiti, building houses, getting sacks, and it's all these efforts that he deserves to be in this spot as Better at Life. I've always talked about Cliff Averill as being one of my favorite players, not just because he's the one guy in the NFL ever to go from an 0-16 team to a team that wins the Super Bowl in back-to-back years. I love that statistic.
Isn't that amazing?
It's and he is about to get I'm not going to say that he's not going to win, because clearly Cliff Averill is going to win the award, and he'll get $1 million for winning the award. Even if he doesn't, 2 runners up get $125,000 donation, and if he just finishes in the top 29, it's $50,000. But Cliff Averill, I'm calling it now, Adam. He's going to win this award, Walter Payton Man of the Year, and for that, better at life than Skip Bayless.
Well, here's the thing. Cliff Averill's going to need that mill to offset what I would say that might be about half the cost he's going to incur building houses. Hey, I understand that Haitian houses probably aren't super expensive, but when he finishes with 48 sacks on the year, it's going to get real costly.
I think he said $6,000 to $8,000 per house is what he's budgeting out for the Haiti houses.
Okay, I would have guessed somewhere under 10. Yeah, like right in there.
But $1 million, could you imagine?
Oh, I could imagine $1 million. Yep.
That could help build a lot of houses.
Like a beach house and an Aspen house, ski house. Yeah.
Yeah. Good stuff by Cliff Averill. I'm just glad to see that he is getting recognition for all the work that he's been putting in the off season and through this effort to raise money as well.
You're right, man. He seems like a super legit guy. No doubt about it.
That's a guy that we need to have people tweet out to get on the show. Let him know that he was better at life than Skip Bayless this week.
Yeah, absolutely. Let the housing commissioner know.
let him know. He's been getting a lot of love here on the Seahawkers podcast at Cliff Averill. You can't get any easier than that Twitter handle either.
That one makes a lot of sense. There's no underscores or nothing.
No, just straight up Cliff Averill, one word.
Yeah, his name. That's pretty sweet. All right, man. That was a pretty solid show this week. I know this is going to be a long one again, I think, but there was a lot to go over. I hope you guys enjoy. And on to the Bills, Brandon. It's going to be fun to be at the
Bills. I can't wait to get out there, be at the Clink, and cheering on our Seahawks there in person.
Yeah. So definitely come down and see us on Sunday. That'd be sweet. We'd love meeting all you guys. So I think with that,
there's only one thing left to say.
Go Hawks!
Go Hawks!